Hello everyone, I am Curtis and I'm here to bring you some cool, trying it again. Hello everyone, my name is Curtis and I'm here on behalf of the quarantine we're all currently in to bring you a very fun and interesting video. Today I bring a very special idea. I got it from the channel Peter Draws. He's a very cool art channel. And he made this one video of the modern principles of space station design. And I thought that was very eye-catching and very interesting. So I thought to myself, it would be very fun to build it in a program. Now, the program he has, I don't have on my computer. However, I do have Minecraft. And I thought it would be a very fun an interesting approach at building it if I built it in Minecraft and I recorded myself building it in a time lapse. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna be taking you through the process, all of these planning and all of the building that I have done, and the research of course, to actually get this thing built. So without any further ado, I present to you building a space station in Minecraft. Let's go.
This is the first rough copy of my planning, and I divided it into zones like residential, commercial, and industrial, and a parking grid, and some other things. Then I have the purpose of why would you go to the space station? Would you be refueling? For refueling you would need fuel, and that would come from a warehouse, and that's another zone, I guess you could say. And then there's also the location. There's maybe a satellite you'd need, and then there's the aesthetics. What's it gonna look like? What's the color gonna be? And most space stations these days are, just white, or maybe they're another color. I don't know. So this is the rough copy. Here I have the actual official mind map I made, and I'm gonna explain it better. So we have zones, and in those zones we have residential, which have temporary and permanent visitors, and they would also need sleep pods, or like rooms, sleeping quarters to rest and all of those things. Residential would be connected to commercial through a lounge. And speaking of commercial, the commercial section would have shops and food, maybe some stores, like if they need to buy gear or things like fuel. And then in the industrial would have farms, and maybe they grow plants that they use, if they want salad, they would grow the ingredients. Industrial would also have energy generation, which would be solar arrays, or like the solar panels. I think they're just called solar arrays, but that doesn't matter. And then in the main zone, it's the core. In a building, there's a main thing where everything intersects, and that's what I'm making the core. There's also the research and labs, which are connected to maybe the farm. Those could be in the same room. There's the warehouse, which is kind of by commercial. Oh, and also the parking grid. That's where all the shuttles come in. And now we have the location, and I'm making mine a waypoint, which is just floating out of, just in the middle of nowhere. Now we also have purpose, and I chose it would be good to refuel using fuel, and it would be in the warehouse. You could trade or commerce, if you wanted to trade with other astronauts, you could. And then also for the aesthetics, I have more detail here for what I wanted to actually include. So yeah, this is the mind map I made.
Alright, so I tried designing the pieces individually, just the different parts, and I'm gonna get into that. So for the core, I know that it's just the central part, so I just tried looking up different cores, and I finally came to one that really looked good. I also used this cool plug thing that I found in my basement. Looked pretty inspirational, so I used that as a reference as well. So for the residential component, I knew that everything had to bunch up basically into one area, and everything else bunches up into that. The industrial and commercial also does that as well as some other things. And yeah, I really tried to just draw a part of the other section just so that I could remind myself that there was a connection there and how it connects. And that made it very, very easy later on when it came to just making the whole spaceship at once. Anyways, for the commercial bit, I drew most of the ship, and that's actually how I got the basically overall design. And yeah, so I just tried connecting everything, and I just drew it officially on the notes all together. And even though it was just a little bit messy, I just did it as best as I could.
Also, with this time lapse, I know that there are a few mistakes, like such as the lighting and, you know, some other things like the mouse and everything, but it's just a learning curve, so don't worry. Now, for the parking grid, I decided that it would just be an easy in and out, but I just didn't want to make it a cube or like something simple, so I just went with a little cool thing kind of by the entrance with a little divot inside, as you can kind of see here. And yeah, I didn't want to make it too difficult or anything to build, so I just kept it all simple. And lastly, we have the gravity generator, just because I think that the spaceship, or the space station I mean, should have maybe some sort of gravity, just so that everyone could be walking around and then they can actually like feel like they're on Earth or something. This is gonna take forever.
Alright, so what I started to do after I assembled all of the modules into little bits was I opened a can of pop, I ate a nice steak and maybe some shrimp, and then I started to get back to work. So what I started to do first was I took some parchment paper that I used as tracing paper and I cut a little square out of it, and I started to put it on the commercial note that I made. And most of the structure on that was actually already kind of built, so I could literally just trace the basic designs on it, and it made it really easy. What I then started to do was maybe flesh out a few more details, like starting to think about adding a few more things inside of the shapes that I made, like little lines or squares or anything that made it look more like a space station. And then what I started to do was add things on the outside, like antennas and satellites and things poking out, like little boxes and circles, things that just made it benefit. One of the major things I had to remember when I was designing the official first spaceship design was I couldn't make everything detailed. And that was a hard thing to do just because I make everything detailed. And if I made it too detailed, I wouldn't be able to change it later on and adjust the sizing of some rooms. So I'm glad I did that. I can also show you a few previous attempts at kind of the process behind creating my space station. And there were a few designs that I tried, but they didn't really work. Like for example, there's this one where I tried making a little bit of a more broad and kind of fatter spaceship, but it didn't really work out because it didn't look right for some reason. It just didn't look like a space station. And there's also this one, which it looks nice, but I thought that it didn't really have much detail when it came to maybe more rooms, and it didn't seem very spaced out. It was very clumpy, but that was one option I had, but it didn't work out either. And here are a few just kind of things I tried for just a 2D sketch of the space station, because you know, most of the space stations you see nowadays, there's usually things kind of stacked on top of each other. There's things kind of, you know, more vertical than horizontal. But yeah, I basically just tried those things and it all worked out because I got my design all planned out and everything. And yeah, really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I sure have, and it was a blast to make. There's part 2 on the way coming soon, and I mentioned this before, but this is for an individual project I'm doing currently on online class. But yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys have enjoyed. See ya.